Hello my dear students, I hope all of you are doing very well. I hope all of you are enjoying our all the lectures, and you already have seen my previous lecture that I am covering on unit 3. So, my name is Abhijit Devnath. I am teaching as an assistant professor at NIT Pharmacy Institute, Greater Noida. Today, we are going to learn more about the quality assurance. This is the 16th lecture of our this entire series, and we are actually covering our unit 3 of B Pharm 6th semester. Today, I am going to tell you about the various quality control aspect in terms of your secondary packaging material. I am going to tell you about the introduction, about the dimension, how dimension is important in your secondary material, then grammage, thickness, surface, pH, pH after extraction, moisture content, ash content, alkalinity and Cobb test. These are the things they are today we are going to learn. Now, before going to our main agenda, let me remind you that in our previous lectures we have seen that if we produce our some pharmaceutical product like tablet or capsule, there will be something called primary packing, the packing which will be direct in contact with your product, direct in contact with your formulation, tablet, capsule, whatever the things. Then whatever the primary packaging you have prepared, these things will be that is covered by secondary material, and lots of unit of primary material will be in the secondary packaged, and then it will be in tertiary. Now, our today's agenda is learning about these things. Our today's agenda is actually focusing here the secondary packing. Now, what are the different types of secondary packaging material? My dear students, there are lots of types, but most commonly we are actually telling that 3 different types like paper and boards, carton and also this thing called corrugated fabric. Now, how you can do the test or what will be the activities you are going to do. So, testing of paper and board. If you have paper and board, how you will do the test? The test pieces of the paper and boards are taken for the test to be carried out in the standard condition. What is the standard condition? The standard condition is the temperature 25 degree centigrade to 25 degree plus minus 1 degree centigrade. Relative humidity also 50 plus minus 2 that means percent. You see always we tell relative humidity in terms of percent. Why sir? Why? Already I hope you have learned that we are actually telling this relative humidity. We are actually comparing. We are actually comparing the amount of that means moisture or amount of that means liquid present in the air in terms of pure. Now, dimension you can also take, you can check the physical dimension of the paper board that is taken and record. See for example, like this, if I go my previous lectures, you may see its dimension, you can check its various dimension, how length it is in centimeter or meter or whatever the unit you may prefer, you can follow. So, here why it is important? This is important because this is actually relying on the size of your primary package. You can see here I have just shown only one. Above then, if you increase its the size, you can add another your unit. If you increase its more size, you can add another unit. That is why its length, breadth and width is very much important. That is why dimension. Now, grammage, another very important thing. So, the test piece of suitable size, for example, 10 cm to 10 cm is actually cut, and then we will be see its weight. The grammage of the sample will be determined by the grammage 104 into W by A and B. Okay. A and B. Now, what is A? A is the length and B is the breadth. Let me show you again. A is the length and B is the width, and W is the height. So, you will be getting some number after doing this test. you will be getting some number, and there will be some limit, there will be some limit. The number should be falling within the limit. If it is crossing, then obviously it is not passed. If it is below, then obviously it will be not passed. Thickness also important, because of the thickness your packaging material will help your pharmaceutical substance from the outer environment, from the outer various environmental component or various environmental I can say factors like temperature, pressure, humidity, then including bacterial and virus related your microbial contamination. So, if I tell you one story, there are some countries in African countries where humidity is actually usually very high. Okay, humidity is very much high. Due to high humidity, when our pharma companies they actually send their medicament on those countries, what the problem they actually usually see? They see that the product whatever they have sent here, sent on those countries, when the products are actually analyzed by the drug control department, they get to see that there are some issue with its quality. For example, high moisture present in the substances. If they send some powder, if they send some powder, the powder is containing with some moisture. Why? Because on those countries, on those areas, there is high humidity in the air. In the summer region, summer season, or in your rainy season, there is heavy raining. Due to heavy raining, the moisture content in the air is very much high. Due to high moisture content, when the product reach there, and if they do not kept very thick secondary material, very easily those moistures are actually entering, and they are coming in contact with the pharmaceutical products, and their quality is actually getting degraded. That is why lots of convention was happened, and they actually divided the world in various zones, and right now this problem is actually properly solved. That is why thickness is very important. Now, how we will do the thickness? So, you can measure with the micrometer. Thickness is related to the grammage of the paper and its bulk density, and directly influences the physical property of the paper like stiffness, varnishing and cutting. Stiffness, varnishing and cutting. You see, many of the cases, some pharma industries have faced some issues, like they have written there all the details like manufacturing experience, all the relevant details on their secondary packaging material as a label. So, what problem they have faced? That due to high moisture on those wet countries, due to high moisture. So, what they have found? They have seen that the labels whatever they have mentioned, these things are actually getting erased. These things are actually getting erased, and due to that again it faced a big problem. So, that is why my dear students, when we say quality, we are telling quality not only of pharmaceutical products, or pharmaceutical dosage forms like your tablet, capsule, syrup. Not only this, also quality associated with the packaging material. Okay. Also it is associated with the packaging material. So, if you do all such things in a very perfect manner, and in that scenario you will be your physical properties like your stiffness, varnishing, cutting will be perfect. Then another thing is the surface pH. Acidity in the paper may be caused by the presence of the residual chemical left in the pulp, and yes, this is a very important thing. Why? It is very much important thing. You see, when you manufacture a pharmaceutical product, it will be remain in your company, in your warehouse for some time. There you are actually providing proper temperature, pressure, humidity and all the control environment, but during transportation there are chances those good environment, those perfect environment might be altered in some scenarios. In some scenarios there are chances that those good environment might be altered. So, what will happen on those cases? And yes, if you export your drugs, your pharmaceutical products in developing countries, they do not have proper storage condition. They will not able to provide 24/7 electricity. At that scenario, what will happen? Whatever the perfect storage condition you have tried to maintain during the production, during the storage in warehouse, that thing will be not available when it will be in the market on those countries. That is why if any microbes is present, there is lots of bacteria, microbes, if they interact with something, they are metabolizing it. If they are producing acid, and if acidity of the paper in your packing material, there is some acidity is already present, and microbes are creating some issues or some acid rain. Right now it is the era of pollution. If acid rain is happening, so what will happen? Obviously, the acidity of a packaging material will increase, means pH that is pH will be get decrease. So, at the scenario, for example, normally it is near about 7 or 6, but due to this condition it has increased to 4. So, at that time there will be a very dangerous problem. It will encounter with your medicaments, and your entire medicaments will be lost its activity. That is why it is very important. So, a drop of distilled water is placed on the top of the test piece, and the electrode of the pH meter is placed in the top of the touching paper. This is very simple. I think all of you might have done some pH test in your school days, in your college days you can also do. So, it is very simple. Taken one drop of the distilled paper on the place of the top of the test piece, and the electrode of the pH meter is placed on the touching of the paper. Okay, it will give you some number in terms of pH scale. Then the reading will be taken after 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you may note the reading, whatever you are getting here. Then another thing, pH after extraction. Cut 1 gram of paper and place into 100 ml flask fitted with the condenser, and add 20 ml of the boiling distilled water in a small portion till the paper is become wet. Then add 50 ml of distilled water, reflux and digest with occasional shakening at 90 to 100 degree centigrade for 1 hour. Then cool 42 at 42 degree centigrade, remove the condenser and shake and cool in the water bath. Determine the pH of the supernatant and the pH meter. Now, sir, you already have told us about the surface pH. Then again, sir, you are telling us pH after extraction. Why, sir? The answer is there are chances after when your entire packaging entire packed including pharmaceutical product, when after packed, when it will go to the market, if within your packaging material, if its pH is actually changing, or if there are some that is a filthy substances actually added during packing, because packaging is because the making of the packaging material is not your hand. Some other components might be making your packaging material, you are purchasing from them, then you are packing your drugs into that packaging material. So, in that scenario it will create a big problem. So, that is why we are doing pH after extraction. You may cut some piece of paper, then place in a flask, then you feed it with the condenser, then add the boiling distilled water, and then very easily you may do reflux and other things, and then you may check the pH. The pH should not be altered. It means during transportation or during storage condition also, if any issue may arise, in those scenario we can also encounter with those issues. Moisture content you can also check, and it is also another very important issue. So, the conditioned specimen, if I sell specimen, I am actually referring to the secondary packaging material. So, the specimen you will check their weight, and then you may heat to a constant weight to expel the moisture. The difference between the two weight gives the moisture content in the paper. See, if you have curtain, for example, let me go to my old slides. For example, this container, this thing, if it is containing some moisture, some percentage of moisture, if it is containing, then obviously it will create a harm impact on your medicaments. That is why I am telling you that you have to check the moisture content. So, how to do moisture content is very simple. You have to take a small part of your material, and then you have to do some heat, and why we are doing heating? Why we are doing heating? Just because, so that moisture content may evaporate, the moisture content may evaporate, and then you will be taking the weight of the material again. So, the percentage moisture content is equal to 100 A minus V. What is A? What is A? A is the original weight, that means before FO before heating, and B is the weight after heating. After heating, whatever the dried things are here, it is this. After that, you will be getting some number, and there will be obviously there will be some limit, higher limit and lower limit. If the result is actually falling within this limit, then it is passed. If it is crossing, then it will be failed. If it is below, then again it will be failed. Usually, if moisture content is present, so obviously you will be observing that higher limit. So, if higher limit is actually showing here, then obviously it will be not correct. But at low, if the moisture content is very low, then again it might be a issue in many of the cases. Okay. But usually we have seen that higher moisture content. Basically, the QC chemists are doing such kind of test in their lab, assisted by QA chemist. Okay. Another thing called ash content, you can also check the ash content. So, how to do, how I can perform the ash content? For that, you have to take 1 gram of the specimen and make it into a shed and place previously weighed crucible, heat carefully over a burner till completely it may charred. Then transfer the cubicle into a muffled furnace at 800 degree centigrade until the carbonaceous matter completely burnt off. Cool the desiccator, then you have to check the weight and repeat the experiment constantly the weight, and later on you will be getting the ash content. Okay. It is a very simple process. It is very simple process. Basically, how much ash content is actually present, you are going to identify. Then yes, alkalinity, another test we are actually doing. In this alkalinity, see you have seen the pH, that means acidic. What is the opposite of acidic? Obviously alkaline. So, alkalinity test you also have to perform, you also have to do. So, how to do alkalinity test? So, you have to place 5 gram of accurately weighed sample and cut into pieces in a stopped flask containing 250 ml of the 0.02 normal HCl and allow to stand for 1 hour with occasional shaking. Descent and titrate a measured quantity, that means V quantity will be count as a V against 0.1 normal NaOH using methyl orange as an indicator. Then again carry out the blank, and then you will be getting some result of alkalinity 1250 B minus A with N. Now, what is B and what is A? B is the blank, A is the our sample reading, and N is the normality. Okay, this is a very simple process, there is no any difficulties, and W is this and V is the volume, whatever I have mentioned you here. This is very simple test. Now, your alkalinity you will be doing, because all of you have studied in your school days that acid and base or alkyne are actually react together each other, and they are creating other substances. So, if your some alkaline substance actually present in the your secondary packaging material, so what will happen? If your pharmaceutical products are actually acid, then obviously there will be some reaction. That is why you will be doing alkalinity test. Cobb test is also so much that is relevant. So, how to do Cobb test? It is also very simple. This measures the mass of water absorbed by 1 centimeter square, this is square of the test piece in a specified time under head of 1 centimeter of water. It is determined by weighing before and after exposed to the water and used quoted in gram per centimeter square. It is very simple. Okay. This actually measures the masses of water. Okay. If you have some packaging material, how much water it can absorb, how much water it can absorb. So, this time the number actually you are getting. Folding endurance, fold one piece of back and forth until rupture actually occur. So, if you have some paper like this, it is very simple. I think you also should do in your school days. Just fold it, just fold it, just fold it, just fold it. Okay. So, after folding till ruptures occur, you just fold it, you may check when rupture is coming. Tensile strength is also very important. So, maximum tensile force per unit with that a paper or a board will withstand before breaking. Tensile strength we are actually checking, because how much pressure it can able to accept to its to maintain its own condition. Okay, how much pressure it can or tensile it can accept. Burst resistance also we are doing some for tests. The maximum uniformity disturbance, that is a distribute pressure applied at right angles to the surface that a test piece of the paper and board will stand under condition test. Hydraulic pressure is actually applied to the diaphragm, hydraulic pressure, and bulging until the test piece burst. So, we are trying to test that how much pressure it can that is take till its survival. So, these are the thing we have today actually okay. Let me just this is the thing today we have tried to cover. I have told you about the various quality aspects of our secondary packaging material. We have seen the dimension, we have seen the grammage, thickness, surface, pH after extraction, moisture content, and you also have seen the H content, alkalinity and Cobb test. You have seen that how the different tests are actually performed, different tests are actually being performed, what are the procedure, okay, and what is its implication, why we are actually performing this kinds of test. In every test there is one thing is common, there will be something, some limit. If it is crossing the limit, then obviously there will be some issue. So, in our next lecture we shall learn more. So, thank you all of you for being with us, thank you for learning.